journalism, broadcasting, the business side of sport generally in Africa. Are talking about Michel Obi. Join us live on the show yesterday, and then we looked at some of the agendas, the expectations within the sport fraternity for the new sport minister. Well, they said he's a farmer. I'm trying to understand. Somebody even made a soft joke. I don't know, maybe some of the pitches across the stadiums in Nigeria would have some really good greens. I mean, he's a farmer. Well, that's just in the soft note. But I just said it now that the Ministry of Sport Development was carved out of the Ministry of Youth and Sport. Now we have the Ministry of Youth, and it's generating a lot of controversy. Maybe not controversy as such, but buzz. At the early hours of this morning, there was a letter that was signed by all of the APC youth leaders across the 36 state and the FCT. And the summary of the letter is that Mr. President should allow his son, that's TINUBU, to midwife the process that would produce the next Minister of Youth. And that certainly doesn't sit down well with some camp within the APC caucus. Now there is the Dayo Israel, the national youth leader of the APC. There's the Jamal Din Kamal, that's the first vice chairman of the APC, that's the deputy national youth leader for the North. Instead of, he was the convener of the AREWA youth for SHETTIMA and TINUBU, and that was one of the four, front runners when it comes to the youth advocacy group for the emergence of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. And like I said, it has brought up a lot of things. Young people in the government, look at the Minister of Communication, Innovation and Digital Economy, for instance, Bosun Tijani, brilliant young man. I've had the privilege of, watching him, listening to him speak, and it looks like someone that understands the business of what he's coming to do. And also, the Minister of Interior, for instance, he was moved from Marine and Blue Economy, Honorable Olubunmi Ojo, representing Akoko Northeast, Northwest, a federal constituency in the House of Representatives. We also have one individual that had steady growth in political space, had been nothing short of an inspiration. Within the last 8 years, Dr. Betta Edu had risen from a core member in Cross River State to the Minister of Humanitarian Affairs and Disaster Management within this very short period of time. In fact, as at March last year, she was still the Commissioner of Health under former Governor Ben Ayade in Cross River State. As she resigned, became the national woman leader of the APC. They went through the rigor of the electioneering process. She got nominated as a minister, all at the age of 37. That's interesting. So we've had a lot of young people, take the front seat in this administration of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. And that's one of the things he promised. Immediately he got into office, I think it was his acceptance speech, where he said that he heard the voice of the youths and is going to respond to them. He promised inclusiveness in his administration. But then, the office of the Minister of Youth is really raising a lot of concerns for a lot of people. By the way, this program is streamed live on all our social media platforms, facebook.com/mainland 98.3 FM. And of course on YouTube, mainland 98.3 FM, the same thing on YouTube. And don't also forget to follow us and like all our contents. And at the turn of 4:30, we'll open the phone lines for you to join the conversation. I have not with me in the studio live, but he's going to be joining us via phone. I'm a member of board of trustee of the AREWA Youth for TINUBU SHETTIMA 2023. Well, he also aspired for the post of the Southwest youth leader at the APC Congress in 2022. He didn't win that one, but he's been at the forefront of, galvanizing the young people for the candidacy of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. Engineer MURITALA Salau Haudu joins us. Is from Kogi State, but then he does his things at the national level of the APC. Good evening, Engineer MURITALA Salau Haudu. Thank you for joining us live in the Situation Room today.
Good afternoon.
Okay. Well, you're live in Lagos, and I want to believe that you're having a very good day so far. So let's get straight up into the conversation. And let's start from the composition of the cabinet of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, in whose emergence you played a very leading role with mobilizing the young people across the country by your involvement with the AREWA Youth for TINUBU SHETTIMA, which you also happen to be one of the board of trustees now. We have the cabinet. There's the Minister of Communication, Bosun Tijani. There's the Minister of Humanitarian Affairs and Disaster Management. I'm just looking at the people that the young people can put a face on. Like, okay, this person is quite young. Maybe doesn't fall within the youth age bracket, but it's quite young. I mean, the Minister of Humanitarian Affairs, for instance, is just 37. Bosun Tijani also quite young people. What do you make of the composition of these cabinet, especially with the promise of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu to include the young people in leadership?
Well, good afternoon once again. First of all, I think I need to appreciate the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, for keeping to his campaign promises on youth inclusion in his government. If you look at it critically, you discover, let me say, after Obasanjo, this is the next government we are having that is, having the youth at heart. Now, if you look at his cabinet, the ministers, you discover he have maybe 4 to 5 or even 6 ministers that are still with the range of youth constituency, which I think in the past all we're having is the youth grandpa and the youth uncles everywhere. And come to his Baba immediate cooking cabinet, which let me say essay on media, essay on this, essay on that. Most of them are youth, and that's to show you that President Bola Ahmed Tinubu is keeping to his campaign promises.
Hello, are you there with us?
There?
Yes. Hello, Engineer Abu.
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, thank you for putting that out. So let's get straight up into it again. There was a how do I put it now? The Ministry of, it used to be the Ministry of Youth and Sport Development. Now, the Ministry of Sport Development was carved out, and there was a minister for that. Now, there's the Ministry of Youth. And the early hours of this morning, there was a letter that was reportedly signed by all of the 36 APC youth, 36 state APC youth leaders, and of course the FCT youth leader. And the content basically summarized that the president should allow Sheyi Tinubu, his son, to midwife the process that would produce the next Minister of Youth. And this that generated a lot of controversy. I also remember that in between this conversation, the name of the national youth leader of the APC, Dayo Israel, also came into this into the picture. There's also Jamaluddin Kabiru, that's the APC national youth leader, and is also the convener for AREWA Youth for Tinubu. All of these names had come up. What do you make of this conversation? Or perhaps you feel the president should just choose who he wants to choose, not minding where the Minister of Youth would come from?
Well, my position has been very clear. If you recall, when they give portfolio of Minister for Youth to someone who is supposed to be our uncle, our daddy, I condemn it and I said, I will not accept him as my Minister for Youth. My definition of youth is someone who is agile and useful. Fine. Having said that, we all know in Nigeria, they say power is being taken, not being given again. If Sheyi Tinubu cannot need the Minister for Youth, for any minister, I don't think he needs any minister for now. Because as a son of the president, I don't think he needs to be directly in the cabinet or in the government. Now, I've seen the letter to signed by 35 maybe state youth leader, advising Baba to take the Minister for Youth from him. That means to recommend who should be the Minister for Youth. Of course, we can't deny the fact that in the youth constituency today, Sheyi Tinubu is really trying his best. He's trying his best, and we see people like that. I appreciate them because the youth constituency has not been getting government attention, and that's why today you see a lot of crimes being done by the youth. If government is giving the youth attention and engaging them one way or the other, you see crime from the youth will be reduced drastically. Now, being the president's son, I think it should stay clear of that ministry. Anybody should be ready to work with whoever is being appointed as Minister for Youth. Because even anybody who is being appointed as Minister for Youth will even be happy, be ready to work with him. Because TINUBU is already, piloting the affair of the youth constituency, which everybody is aware of that. And we are all happy with the way he played before, during, and after election. All of us are happy with him. But the affair of, governance, I think he needs to be cautioned and take care out of it. Because he's going to tarnish Baba's image in terms of, they should not, come out and say, this is nepotism, this is nepotism, this is this, this is that. And by so doing, 2027 is just by the corner. We don't want a situation whereby, we will be losing some strength in some area. Because with what Baba is putting now, the record Baba is trying to build now is 2027, if Baba is contesting for second time. I strongly believe, before 5 o'clock, I think we win the next election. So, my position as he to become the youth minister. Even if you look at it, we already have so many people from Southwest, mainly in Lagos. We have the national women leader is from the South, the national youth leader is from the South, Lagos. The chief of staff is from the South. President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria is from the South, which is Lagos. Both the TINUBU, Dayo Israel, they are all from Lagos, from the South. How do we compensate the North if we have the party women leader from the South, the national youth leader from the South? Another position which will, bring the youth together should be Minister for Youth. This should come from the North. The last Minister for Youth came from the South, from Oyo State, Sunday Dari. So if we are now taking the Minister for Youth back to South again, are we being, are we doing justice? So I think at this stage, Minister for Youth to come to the North. And one thing, sir, you said Jamal is also vying for the position. Jamal is pushing for Dayo Israel. Jamal is by deputy chairman, deputy youth leader.
No, Engineer, I didn't even say that Jamaluddin Kabir is contesting. I just put his name in context, that if you say that Dayo Israel is from Lagos, TINUBU is from Lagos, this and that is from Lagos, what about the national deputy youth leader that is not from Lagos? I mean, perhaps, maybe not from the South. So this would lead me into the next question. When there was an initial deployment, that's Abubakar Momo was deployed as the Minister of Youth, and a lot of people raised objection to that. And people have come out to say that the Minister of Youth should be within the ages of maybe like 40, 35 and all of that. But I want to ask you, we've seen the space where in Dayo Israel is, I think, the youngest youth leader that the opposition party or the main party had produced in this country. Of course, if you look at the national youth leader of the PDP as well, it's quite under 30 young people holding this responsibility. But should age be a determining factor in who becomes the Minister of Youth?
Yes. Yes, you can't say Minister for Youth and you are bringing Baba of 70, 80 and you call him a Minister of Youth. Like you are bringing a man to become Commissioner for Women Affairs.
We've seen that several times.
Yes. Now, Jamal, that you rightly said, that to me, I think that is my candidate. He's the best person to nominate and to be given the ministerial slot. That's Minister for Youth. Jamal has worked seriously before, during, even after election. He's still working. He is the chairman of AREWA Youth for TINUBU SHETTIMA. He has gone around the whole 19 states in the north, galvanizing support. Even when we inaugurated that, the AREWA Youth for TINUBU SHETTIMA, he invited the Vice President himself He was the one who opened the office. I mean, SHETTIMA himself. I was there. I am the the vice chairman of Advancing Council. I was there. This former governor of Nasarawa State was there, and Makura. So many senators, two senators from Kogi were there. Some senator from Niger, Sadi, was there, and he is our patron. He was there. So many National Assembly members were there, and Vice President from our group that he is going to he will make sure he will be compensated. How are we going to be compensated? We are pushing even Jama. He's not aware. Jama is not even aware we are pushing him now, unless he sees it on social media.
Engineer, sorry to cut you. You keep using the particular word, which is compensation. Do you think these appointments should be based on compensation or based on credibility, capability, and ability to deliver and drive an economy that has a lot of over 60% of the population being young people? Don't you think that should be more of a prerequisite rather than just compensation?
Number one, Jamal is capable of being the Minister for Youth. Someone who was nominated in the whole 19 states of North. The slot is for the North down slot. He was nominated and voted for to be Deputy National Youth Leader, not Zonal Youth Leader, Deputy National Youth Leader. So that means they believe in him, he's capable, and he's already even he's on it, he's proving it. He's proving the capability. We are all seeing him. You see him with Ashwaju today, you see him with this governor today. He has visited all the governors. Intellectual capacity, you find him there. So what do we need aside from that? And you talk about compensation, which is politics. Nobody do politics for God. You don't do politics and say Alabama, sir. Politics is for your interest, and you have country interest at heart and your own interest by the corner. So Jamal has really worked, and I think our group, which is AREWA Youth for TINUBU SHETTIMA, should be compensated, and we are pushing Jamal for the ministerial slot. He's not aware as I speak with you now. He's not aware because he doesn't have interest. He's pushing for that your Israel.
This is
Israel. I don't think if he's pushing for that Israel, he's not being fair to us in the north.
This is very interesting.
Another flaw.
So the candidate that you said is not aware, that's Jamaluddin Kabir, that's the APC Deputy National Youth Leader. He said he's not aware that his own group are pushing for his candidates, and he's also pushing for someone else. Now, you started off this conversation with Dayo Israel being from Lagos, and then Lagos already has the ministerial slot. But don't also forget that the constitution says one person per state. And if you look at the number that we have now, it means that all of the states have been represented, except of course Kaduna that still has his own, but the slot for Kaduna has been reserved. That means the president can choose multiple ministerial nominees from a particular state if he feels so. So what if Jamaluddin Kabir rejects that nomination and he also chooses to work with Dayo Israel? Dayo Israel has been the national youth leader of the APC. He emerged at the Congress in 2022 in Abuja. And of course, he was at the forefront, the old TINUBU, Jagaban army and all of that. Don't you also think that at this point, Mr. President should be allowed to make this decision without all of this pressure? I mean, the letter I read this morning, that I made reference to, was saying that TINUBU should be allowed to meet the wife who becomes the Minister of Youth. Don't you think the president should be allowed to make this decision, Engineer Audu?
Well, those who signed the letter, they signed it based on their interest, and it is not based on my interest.
Of course.
Well, I won't say what play around there, but to be fair to ourselves, if you say TINUBU should midwife the Minister of Youth and Sport, that means you are putting the youth and sport in his custody. That means he owns that ministry. So his father is the president. It should allow others. TINUBU contributed so well before, during, and after election, and he's getting it right. Now, when we are saying president have the constructive, he should nominate one minister per state, fine, Lagos State have 2 ministers. What we are saying here, the position in the south is enough for now. At least the youth constituency to go back to the north, because the former government with the President Muhammadu Buhari administration was APC government as well. The Minister for Youth came from the south. We should go back to the north now. To be fair, we should do justice for ourselves. And we already have national women leader in the south, national youth leader in the south, and you will see put the Minister for Youth in the south. How are we being fair? So that's why even the every state now, I believe almost all the states have gotten each minister. Some even got 2, like Kano got 2, Ogun State got 3, Lagos State got 2, and so on and so forth. What we are saying here is President Muhammadu Buhari should please, we are pleading that we are pushing Jamal to become the Minister for Youth, which will represent the North and the youth constituency. That's all we are saying.
Thank you very much. Interesting conversation here, but it's very funny that Jamaluddin Kabir himself had not even come out to indicate interest. But I'm sure the next couple of days, especially with the letter that was signed today, or reportedly signed today by the 36 states APC youth leaders, and of course the FCT, maybe the next 24 hours, all of this will become really clear. Well, in case you're just listening to us or you're just tuning in, I've been speaking with, I'm still coming to you. I've been speaking with Engineer MURITALA Audu. Of course, he's a member of the Board of Trustee for the AREWA mandates for TINUBU SHETTIMA. Obviously, just, getting into this. But let's put the emergence of the of the Minister of Youth to one side. Let's talk about the weight of expectations on whoever becomes the Minister of Youth. And I started this since Monday. We've looked at the Minister of Finance. Yesterday, we looked at the Minister of Sport Development. Now, let's look at the Minister of Youth. Whoever becomes the Minister of Youth, I mean, the young population obviously covers over 50% of the Nigerian population. People between the ages of 18 and 35, maybe 40. But so I want to ask you again, Engineer Audu, you've been in the midst of a lot of young people. You've related with a lot of young people from the west to the east to the south. In fact, you have a chieftaincy title from the Yoruba land. We're going to come to that.
To unite the youth, because we have crises everywhere in the youth constituency. If you go to National Youth Council of Nigeria, there are so many presidents. At times you see 2, 3, 4 presidents at a time. We have division everywhere. We expect him to bring the youth together so that the youth can know where they belong in the government. And he will also fight for the youth. Because if you don't build the youth, you are not building the nation. We can't continue this way.
Okay, building the youth, building the nation. Okay, now let's talk about one thing that really played out in the last election across board, from the presidential to the gubernatorial to the National Assembly election to the State House of Assembly election. It is the tribal card that was played. Well, I'm not bringing this up to whip any sentiment, but I'm speaking with a youth leader of the ruling APC, so it's only proper for me to bring this conversation up. A lot of people got into the mix, and a lot of tribal cards were whipped, especially on the social media. How do you think we can prevent this from reoccurring in the next election? Because it almost tore the fiber of this country apart at the last election. A lot of people were raising, some really uncomfortable position against young people based on their tribe. And it is the youth. Politically, we are divided. How do you think we can reconcile ourselves politically as young people in this country?
That's why we are clamoring. We are pushing for Jama to get the youth minister, so that because we know him, we know his capacity, we know what he can do. Like, seriously, the last election, we worked seriously to win that election. We won by luck because the youth were not being taken care of. The youth of this country were neglected by the former, by the past government, not former administration, by the past government. After Obasanjo, the youth constituency was, because during Obasanjo gave the National Youth Council of Nigeria land in Abuja to build the secretariat. Obasanjo gave coastal bus to the youth, National Youth Council of Nigeria. after Obasanjo, the land has not been developed till now. I don't even know whether the land is still there. The coastal, former youth president MURITALA used it. I saw it. I don't know where he is now again. So now we really need to, right the wrong, so that the youth of this country will be happy. If the youth of this country are getting jobs, they are getting what they deserve from the government, we will not be going to abroad. What do you think we'll go to abroad and do?
Okay, let me
get it right soon. And I know with this government of TINUBU, just believe me, at the end of the tunnel there is light. Believe me, big deal needs time. And we have to start getting it right from now.
Okay, so let me also ask you, before we open the phone lines, this is how we do it on the show. I will keep you on standby. We'll open the phone lines so that you can get to hear what the questions that will be asked by the callers and some of the comments that would also be made so that you can respond to some of them. But again, let's talk about Mr. President opening up the Ministry of Youth and sports. He used to be Minister of Youth and Sport Development. Now we have this ministry separate. How do you think this would help to, push forward the need for the Nigerian youth to be properly equipped, properly engaged, and properly motivated to, have a better life for themselves?
And see, the youth constituency alone is enough to have a ministry. That's why I so much appreciate President
Bola Ahmed Tinubu.
Yes, separating the Minister for Youth and from the Minister for Sport. Sport alone, sport on its own, is a very big ministry, which I think it really needs attention of the press, which really needs to be given a ministry. And I think he has done very well on that. It's just like him now in transport sector. Transport was one before. Now you are having Ministry of Transportation. Now you are having Marine and Blueprint. In Marine alone, it's quite bigger that they start to have ministry, which I think he has done. He has done that very right.
Thank you very much, Engineer MURITALA Salau Audu. Is a member of the Board of Trustee of the AREWA Youths for TINUBU SHETTIMA 2023. The phone lines are buzzing already. Well, you can join the conversation. We're looking at the expectations for the Minister of Youth. Well, I said for the Minister of Youth, and expectations not setting the agenda now because we don't have a Minister of Youth yet. And that's exactly what is, bringing up all of these conversations. Some people feel it should be the national youth leader. I mean, you would probably expect that it should be a natural thing. The person that had been in charge of the youths at the national level should automatically become the Minister of Youth. But the other way around again, it's supposed to be an appointment based on credibility, based on capability, and based on competence. And that's exactly what Engineer MURITALA Salau Audu had helped us understand this afternoon. So we'll open the phone line 0913-600-0410. Remember, when we started this conversation, I talked about the young people. Well, I didn't use the word youth now. I said the young people because the age bracket that the UNESCO or the UNICEF recognizes as the youth is anything between the ages of 18 and 35. And by the way, I said I referred to Dr. Betta Edu as the Minister of disaster management or minister. Our ministry is actually women affairs and poverty alleviation. Humanitarian affairs and poverty alleviation. I mean, none of these ministries are into each other. It used to be humanitarian affairs and disaster management. Now it is humanitarian affairs and poverty alleviation. Yes, I have to quickly run through her profile. 37 years old. As at 8 years ago, she was a youth corps member in Cross River States. And from then on, she was the head of the COVID-19 committee. At some point, she was the head of all of the commissioner for health in Nigeria. Then she became the national national women leader of the APC. And now she's a serving minister of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. There's also Bosun Tijani, the Minister of Communication. All of these people, literally falls within the age bracket where you can say, okay, maybe not particularly youths, but they're also young people, as against the 64-year-old that was supposed to be the Minister of Youth. And that is what is bringing all of this conversation. Now you can join us. 0913-600-0410. I take the number again. 0913-600-0410. And you know, I will keep you on standby so that I can get to hear what the callers want to say. So please, if you don't mind. Hello, good evening.
Good evening, Opeyemi.
Good to have you today, Ufoma.
Yes, Kushena. This position you are discussing this afternoon, is there anybody the president has given the position already?
No, somebody was actually appointed. Somebody was designated to be the Minister of Youths. But the wire, that's Abubakar Momo. He was supposed to be the Minister of Youth, but he was redeployed to the Ministry of Niger Delta. So for now, we don't have a Minister of Youth, and that's why we're having this conversation, Ufoma.
Okay. The best thing that they should just leave it for the president to decide. Because if you have somebody in the back of his mind, and people are pushing his son to be able to negotiate with his father to also bring a candidate, like your guest also mentioned, at the end of the day, the person, they'll be working between the TINUBU son and the person. At the end of the day, there will not be a better result to check on. So for now, those they are trying their best, they are pushing, but they should allow the president. If it's going to be their candidate, fine. If it's not going to be that candidate, at the end of the day, politics is very funny. That all these people that will also come back in for he's mentioned 2027. It's so it's very funny. 4 years you will they should be careful and take it easy.
Thank you very much. Let's
allow the Baba to do his will. Okay.
Thank you very much, Ufoma. Well, I'm sure you know that lobby and positioning also part of the game in politics. Hello, good evening, Ben.
Okay, good.
I saw your call yesterday. Apologies, we couldn't connect.
No problem. Well, I would prefer the Minister of Youth to go to the north. Maybe it's as well as you should use, if the LFI is not coming back, they should use somebody, maybe they speak somebody in the Kaduna to replace the Minister of Youth. I don't want the Minister of Youth to come to the south. So I think south have enough. Because north are more important, because 2007 is just around the corner. Around the corner. The majority of these southern youth here, they are not going to vote for the Baba in 2027.
Ben, we've not even spent 3 months in this administration.
No. In politics, 4 years like a following day. So majority of the youth in the south here, they are not going to vote for they only carry the way with kind of a noise on the street somewhere. But as we look straight down to the north, we need them very, very badly. Thank you so much, Ope.
Thank you very much, Ben. Ben thinks President Bola Ahmed Tinubu should look towards the north to pick who becomes the next Minister of Youth. Well, he thinks that the south has had enough. Well, the president is also from the west. Hello, good evening.
Hello, good evening.
Good to have you join us on the show today.
Good to have you, Mr. Ope. Good afternoon. See, this is what I want to say. If we let us put sentiment aside, okay, is it only Sheyi Tinubu and the APC youth leader are in this country? Okay, is it only South and the North that is in this? My name is Comrade Iroko. Let me just, because if it is not sentiment, there's somebody in this Nigeria will be nominating ordinary Sheyi Tinubu to become a youth leader in this country, where we have many intellectual people in this. No problem, sir.
Comrade Iroko, give me a few seconds. Let me explain something. The letter is summarized to you. I said all of the 36 states youth leaders of the APC and the FCT said Sheyi Tinubu should midwife the process of the emergence of the Minister of Youth. They are not saying he should be the minister. They said Sheyi Tinubu should be allowed to choose or to, sift through who will become the minister. That's just, I had to just make that clear correction. Thank you very much for joining us on the show, by the way. Comrade Iroko, it's always a pleasure when you join us. 09136000410. More calls, then we'll come back to the messages. Hello, good evening. Good to have you join us on the show today. Your name and where are you calling from?
My name is Joe Motors. I'm calling from Ikeja this evening.
You're welcome.
As it is now, politicians should be careful. We don't $1 we are in 2003, somebody is talking about 2007. Can you see most of this, our politicians are not serious. They don't have our interest at heart at all. And if the president will do well, please, that minister for youth should come from the southeast. Please, for goodness sake.
Okay.
If you not go to southwest or north,
Okay.
they have enough, at least, to boost the ministers from the east to at least 6 or 7.
Okay. That's a different side to the conversation. Jai feels the Minister of Youth should go to the southeast. Interesting conversation. Hello, good evening.
Good evening, sir.
Good to have you join us on the show today.
This is Kenny from Mushin.
Kenny from Mushin, you're welcome.
It's okay. What is there is for political balance and equality. I also support that the youth minister should be of middle age of between 35 and 40. As somebody comes from the north, because it is the north that has the power base when it comes to election. The election we are talking about, the president was brought in by, his mandate was given to him by God through the north. He came in through the north. He's from the west. He lost his state in Lagos State, he lost Osun State, but the north stood by him, and they should be given privilege and reference because of the election is future. By the time of this next election, now they're thinking about next election, and election is by numbers. If you have numbers, you'll be elected. And the Northerns have the number. Whether we take it or we don't like it, that's the fact. They should be given privilege for what they have done. They stood by this man, right from the primary to the primary election and the election. So that's what I would do. I would suggest that the minister of the youth should look for younger person from the north. Who have the capability as well as capacity to run that ministry. To be from the north.
Thank you, Kenny. Thank you very much, Kenny, for joining us. Engineer, are you still with us?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm sure you are listening to all of the things that the callers are saying already. Let's pick more calls. Hello, good evening.
Good evening. How are you doing?
I'm very well. Your name and where are you calling from?
I'm calling from Bariga, Joe from Bariga.
Joe from Bariga.
I hope we have started another 4 years. Please, let it not be like Buhari regime, please. Sheyi, the government of Nigeria does not belong to Bola Tinubu alone. Please, that is what I want to contribute.
Okay. Thank you. That was very straight to the point. By the way, for the people talking about numbers and the North are staying with the president, don't forget that the North is actually divided into the Northwest, the Northeast, and the North Central. And if you look at that, the Northeast alone have almost about 12 ministers. The Northwest, about 12 ministers. The Northeast have about 8. And the North Central have about 9. So if you put all of that together, I mean, that's some numbers. I just have to put that out there. Hello, good evening.
A very good evening to you, Opeyemi.
Prince Wise, you're welcome.
Thank you, my dear. You see, the youth, they must have their own day. They must have their own time. And it's time for the youth. Below 40, let's give that minister to the youth. And I'm suggesting two regions. They have not get the Kaduna ministerial candidates. They can go there to pick the candidate to represent the youth in the cabinet. That is number one. If there's more minister for Eastern Nigeria, they can go there to pick the youth minister. For them to have 6 or 7 ministers. But as of now, we still have 8 times in Kaduna State. So they can pick a youth for Kaduna. So, but Israel,
for me, I like that guy before. I was thinking the speaking, but later I have to go.
Prince Wise.
I'm listening, sir.
Prince Wise, there's already a ministry assigned to the Kaduna, or whoever is going to be the ministerial nominee from Kaduna. That's the Ministry of Environment and Ecological Management. That ministry has been reserved for the slot of Kaduna State.
But very, very easy. The one assigned to Oyetola was changed that minute.
Sure.
They can easily change the one for the Kaduna to another state. It's very easy.
Sure. Thank you.
If this youth minister come for Kaduna, yes, very good. For the party, they have the youth minister in Israel, like from Southwest. If they have the youth minister from Northwest and the South, balance issue. Opeyemi.
Thank you, Prince Wise. Thank you very much, Prince Wise. More messages. Sam from Agodo says that when the people say we have get, I think they are signing this country instead of playing politics with Nigerians. We have a long way, by the way. House of Assembly members, House of Rep members, the Senate members from the state, the kings are all sending congratulatory messages to celebrate their demigod in some weekend, as well as to keep their seat in place. Of all the 45 sworn-in ministers by a bat, it baffles me that it is only Rivers State that multi-million naira is being spent in congratulatory messages just to please Wike. Okay. That's a long one, but I'll just leave you there. Let me come to my guest. Engineer, are you still there with us?
Yeah.
I'm sure you've listened to, a lot of the things that the callers have said in messages, in calls and contributions and all of that. What do you make of the level of preparedness that you think whoever becomes the minister, the youth minister, should go into the office with? Now, you talked about Sunday Dare. Before Sunday Dare, there was Solomon Dalung, the man from Plateau State. There was Sunday Dare from Osun State, if I'm not mistaken. The weight of expectation on who becomes the minister of youth, I fall into this category. You also fall into this category. I just checked your profile. You're a very young person as well, and you've done well in your choosing career also. In terms of the weight of expectations, how prepared do you think whoever becomes the Minister of Youth should be?
Anybody who is coming as the youth minister now, you know Baba very well. I have been saying, of course,